I was saying to you that I started doing readings in 2004, so 16 years ago. And it was about 2006 I started putting work on YouTube and online. And it was really quickly after that that I saw you out there. I mean, it must have been 2006, 7 or 8. And I remember I was like, wow, who's this cool angel guy? And you were really young. And I mean, you're still young compared to me because there's like 12 years between us. But I remember really being struck by just the uniqueness of your youth and your certainty with your gift. And yeah, it was a really cool thing just to see you out there doing something very different with confidence. And so I'm curious first, before we kind of dive deep into things, you've been doing this work now publicly for how long?
So my business is 16 years old
Right.
this year. Yeah, I think it is. So quite a long time, yeah.
Yeah, so we have the same years. So how old were you when you started then? You must have been 16.
I started doing readings when I was 16, and it wasn't full time, I was still, I was a high school dropout, just so you know, like I'm quite proud of that. And I walked out of school at 15 and I just got a job in a hairdresser's, sweeping up hair and shampooing very badly. And I had to wait until I was 17 to officially start my business at the time. So I just got a number of jobs just to keep me going. And then when I was 17, I went through the Scottish Enterprise, which is like an entrepreneurial set up by the government. And I went through their business courses to learn how to like start an official business. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since then.
So your gift, when did that start? Because that was really young for you, wasn't it? That it was just
Yeah.
there for you.
So I call it a skill rather
Okay.
than a gift. Just more because I think everyone can do it. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, totally.
It's like a muscle, you just learn how to grow it. But I started really young. I had a virus when I was 4 years old called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and it's an autoimmune virus that attacks the nervous system. And I was paralyzed for just over a year.
Wow.
And at the same time as me having Guillain-Barré syndrome, my grandmother had stage 4 lymphoma cancer. So we're both in wheelchairs, both in the same home at the same time. It was very uh, interesting to look back at, but we created this incredible bond. And it was right around that time my sensitivity level started to shift because I couldn't walk or get up and go from one room to the other. I could kind of sense beyond
Yes.
the room. And then as the year went on, my grandmother's health deteriorated really badly and my health naturally improved. So he
Mm.
thought I had meningitis for about 6 months, and then my health started to shift. And I remember one night, I'll never forget this week as long as I live. It was the week school started, and my grandmother was moved to hospital. I remember getting this Ninja Turtles lunchbox and being obsessed with it. And I remember my parents going to the hospital to be my nana, and then I went to bed. A neighbor put me to sleep that night, and I woke up for the night. And my grandmother was back home, and she flipped me on my belly and tickled my back, and it was so nice. And I remember just feeling so loved. And then the next morning, I went looking for my grandmother, and I couldn't find her anywhere. So I told my mum, "Where's Nana? Like she came into my room last night and she tickled my back when I was sleeping." And my mum just couldn't put two and two together. But it turns out she'd actually passed away that night. And that was like my initial awakening.
Yeah.
And it was quite a traumatic week when I look back because there's no resentment or anything now, but my father was also caught having an affair that week. My grandmother passed away. I was starting school, and then my mom had a bit of a nervous breakdown. So there was this like weird week, and it kind of like catapulted me from this realm to the other.
Totally. Yeah, shattering of the world you knew to open up the other one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
And that
then
was, you were 5?
I was 4, so I was about
Or
four and a half, and then basically from then onwards, just weird stuff would start to happen. And, I had these migraine headaches that ended up lasting 11 years. And the doctors, like my parents obviously I'd spent a lot of time in a children's hospital because I had Guillain-Barré syndrome. And the doctors had just thought this is an after effect of having nerve damage, of just like not having being able to walk and all these different things. And so I was tried on like every medication you can imagine. And then at that time, numbers, like additives was a big topic in health. And a specific doctor said it's obviously candy and numbers or all these different things. So my parents took me off like all sugar, all candy, and I got even more sensitive, even more aware, like petting people's dead dogs. I was like talking to dogs that no one else could see. So they started putting me back on all the candy. So yeah, there was just lots of weird happenings. And then my mum accidentally ended up going to like a session with a medium, like her friend was hosting our next door neighbor hosting a medium, and my mum was like a mobile hairdresser at the time, and she said this medium's just arrived at my house, and she says I'm looking for Diane. Her mother Agnes is here to talk about her blue-eyed boy. And my mum was like, what do you mean? My mum was like, cutting someone's hair, and they called her on one of those massive phones that we used to get. And my mum rushed to this psychic, and then the woman was like, your son is going to be like me when he grows up. And she said, you'll come off of she said this weird prediction. It was so strange. You'll come off of a cruise ship and his face will be on a national newspaper. And it happened. And it was just so weird. The Daily Mail called me the youngest medium in the UK when I was 17 years old. And they plastered my photograph in the middle of this. And we had just come back from a cruise holiday together, my mom and I. So it was really, weird. And
That's brilliant.